truth is that Christianity normally goes through various phases. I know that all Nigerians are suffering today on account of widespread criminality and banditry and kidnapping and insurgency, but Christians the more so. We need the moral support and the spiritual support, even if it is not financial, the moral and spiritual support and regular awareness of Christians from all over the world to know that Christians in Nigeria are having a very hard time, especially northern part of Nigeria. They have a long history of persecution, long history of discrimination. Reason is that in 1804, there was a jihad called the Ottoman Damfodio Jihad that overran the entire northern Nigeria in 1804, over 200 years ago. Now, that created an impression that northern Nigeria is Islamic. To the extent that about 120 years ago, when Christianity came, many Christian missionaries were limited as to where they could go and preach. The British colonialists limited the Christian missionaries and said, look, you can't go into the center of the town of these people. They are Muslims. Don't go in there to disturb the peace. You can only stay outside the city. So that those who are non-Hausa, non-Fulani, who come from other places, they are the ones you can preach to. Please don't go and disturb the peace. Don't go and preach to these people. So those structures were already put there under the colonial rule, to the extent that the young child growing up in northern Nigeria is very convinced that this is an Islamic territory. So what is happening today did not just begin 10, 12 years ago. It has a long history of exclusion. Now, you are a Christian in that part of the world. You are a Christian, there are positions you cannot aspire to. They are talking about northern Nigeria producing the president of Nigeria. They are not thinking of a Christian northern Nigeria. If they are thinking of somebody being head of a big corporation from northern Nigeria, they are not thinking of a Christian northern Nigeria. They are thinking of a Muslim northern Nigeria. Nigeria, as you know, has almost 400 indigenous groups, tribes. Now, there are prominent tribes like the Hausa and the Fulani. They just don't acknowledge those numerous groups, who, by the way, if you put all of them together, they are the majority. But they have been oppressed for over 200 years. First by the Ottoman Damfodio Fulani Jihad, then followed by the British. And when the British came, the British subjected all those small tribes to the Fulani. And the British made the Fulani chiefs paramount rulers over the entire territory. They perpetuated the domination, and then the British left 60 years ago. Nevertheless, the consequences have remained with us. So some of the young people who are now young radicals, young extremists, have now risen up, and it's like, what are these Christians doing here? Why is there a church here? This is an Islamic territory. Let us take back our Islamic state. This is what they mean by a caliphate. So the presence of Christians in northern Nigeria has continued to be, and may continue for quite some time, to be a major threat. We need the support. We need the prayers of the international community of Christians. I belong to one international theological group, and they were trying to recruit me into rejecting canon law, so that there will be a new kind of canon law where every country has the right to have their own church, to design their own administrative and juridical procedures instead of anybody relying on rule. They were trying to recruit me into this. I said, no. You guys brought Christianity. We are still studying it. We are still trying to embrace the Christianity you brought only 100 years ago. Maybe you are tired after 2,000 years. We are not yet tired of Christianity. We are still just experimenting on Christianity. So don't turn me away. Let me conclude with saying the kind of people who watch EWTN, the kind of people who are associated with Church in Need, the kind of people who remain faithful to the church and the official traditions of the church, they have work to do to support those of us who would like to continue to be faithful to the church, but who are beginning to see that we can't find support. Apart from our help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth, the next is agencies in Europe and America who describe themselves as traditional and faithful to the church. They are the ones to help us seriously, especially when it comes to our evangelization programs. They are the ones to help us, because we won't get help from elsewhere. Our economy has gone down so much because of the insecurity and the bad leadership. Under that circumstance, we are now beginning to develop soup kitchens. Can you imagine? Nigeria, that is supposed to be the richest country in Africa, what is now beginning to grow here and there is soup kitchens to feed hungry people. We are in precarious situations, and we need the moral support of people outside, the spiritual support of people outside. And then whatever diplomatic efforts that can be made made to put pressure on our governments to do the right thing, to put pressure on those who would want to push the country in the direction of a theocratic Sharia state, to put pressure on them to be democratic and to allow people freedom of expression, especially faith and so on. We will need those diplomatic pressures coming from outside too.